You're watching Seven Rivers Sports here on KQEG. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and fitness. We're stepping aside this week from basketball. We are going to focus on UWL football. When you think of UWL football, you think of a lot of names. Well, the two names I think of happen to be our guests today, Noah Risch and Zack Zillmer. Welcome to the show, guys.
How you doing, Terry?
Let's start with UWL football. Let's start there. Now, a lot of your, spring practices start in a month or so, 2 months.
We got a little time, yeah.
Let's start with UWL. Now, you both finished your careers. I'm going to talk a little bit about your career. But as we speak, as we tape the show, you're busy recruiting. You're traveling all over. You coached last year, Noah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. You just finished your career. But now you're on the recruiting trail. Noah, talk about what you're looking at and how you establish those contacts.
Yeah, great question. So you definitely want to take a look at all sorts of different kids. There's a lot of factors that go into what makes a good, successful student athlete on our football team. So, for example, at lacrosse, we got to get kids in, which is sometimes difficult. So you got to look for kids who are smart. So we're constantly looking after kids with good GPAs, ACTs type things. And we kind of split it up regionally, and we're all over the place. Generally, we hammer Wisconsin, and then dip into Minnesota and Illinois for a little bit and draw from there. And these days you can just watch everything on Huddle and watch their tape and reach out to coaches and talk to them that way and try to build relationships with them.
All right, so you finished your first year coaching, so you've done a little recruiting in the past, so you sort of know the system. But a lot of people, two questions. One, a lot of people that are watching the show this week may ask the question, based on what you said, is not many students, perhaps a lot of student athletes can't get into lacrosse. So sort of embellish on that, would you?
Yeah, lacrosse is an academically prestigious university, and they don't just let anybody in. So, as they shouldn't. And so, we're looking for people who want to be successful athletes as well as students. So, like very cliche. Student athlete, student comes first. You're taking classes as a football athlete, so you have to have, depending upon their test scores and GPA and what kind of rigors in their class schedule, we'll do a lot of research on them and see what we can get into school, but just kind of depends. You would look for smart kids.
Okay, so you walk into school, you've made an appointment, Zach, and of course you just finished playing, so you haven't even started your coaching career yet. Mm-hmm. You walk into school, and the first thing the secretary says, or the principal says, Fabio's in school. Now, for those who don't know who Fabio is, I grew up watching Fabio, famous actor, famous celebrity with long hair. You look a lot like him, good-looking guy.
Oh, jeez.
Now, am I the only one that said call you Fabio?
I usually get Tarzan. Is usually
well, there's similarity between Fabio and Tarzan. Google it if you want to. So you walk in there, and you want to see a student athlete, and so you get me out of class, and you're recruiting me. So I meet with you.
Yep.
What are you going to say?
Well, I know it depends. Each player is different. You do your research to kind of get the background on the player. So you kind of look at their GPA and their ACT, like Coach Risch said, kind of get an idea of where they're standing academically as far as getting into our university, because that's a big question the recruits have for us, because they kind of know UW La Crosse's academic reputation. And then it comes down to, you ask them questions, whether it's, what kind of majors are you looking at, because sometimes that's something you can't find when you're doing your basic research. So you ask those guys those questions to get an idea of what the fit for the school is like for those guys, because I think when it comes to choosing a college as a football athlete, you got to find the right fit, not just on the football side of things, but the school, the community, all those factors.
But the parents aren't there, though, are they?
It depends. Usually when we do in-school visits, it's just us and the players.
Okay, so so you're now, and you ask me about my grades, and I say, what? I'm an A+ student. What do you even ask me that for? So then we get through that. Now, obviously you're trained. I don't know if profile is a good word, but you can read personality, body language. You can read perhaps a little bit about whether it's a good fit or not.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, you can definitely tell, like, when you're talking with these players. I mean, it's usually very personal, like one-on-one conversations. Just get a feel for how they're feeling about what you're saying and what your university has to offer. But they're also very brief conversations, so, depending on the guy, it may be easier to tell how you think they're feeling about it. And then it just comes down to, continuing to talk with these guys throughout the process to and get them on campus, get them to see your school. And after, months and months of talking to these guys and doing all these things, it comes down to if they feel like that they've found the right fit for them at the end of the day.
Some coaches, and this is documented, some coaches will go out and recruit everybody they can so that other schools don't get them. They're not really honest with them sometimes. I mean, we all know that. They just want them on campus, and they want to secure them so no one else can get them, with maybe not exact plans to use them. You've read about that, of course. So let's say that they meet the academic requirements, the skill set in terms of all conference and speed and so on. What's the next step, Noah?
I mean, you got to have a relationship with them. You kind of. There'll be kids who maybe they come on campus and they gel with the coaches better than some other kids. So, I mean, for the most part, if there's a spot for them in terms of academically, like they're a great fit, for example, maybe they want to be physical therapy, great. Lacrosse is a great school for that. Don't go anywhere else. So they want to come here. Football, they're going to be a great player. You want to have that kind of that social aspect and building your relationships, and hopefully they gel well with the coaching staff. And that's something that you'll get to see. They spend a lot of time one-on-one with all the different coaches. My good friend Ryan Weber, he's one of our assistant coaches, so let's spend some time with him, and Coach Janice and Coach McGlenn and some of the other guys on staff. And, you just try to make sure that they gel with you and get along, and hopefully they buy in and are all about our program.
One last quick question, and we're going to move to several other subjects on the show this week. So there's some stories about people that have been recruited, and they promise them a rose garden. They guarantee them certain things, providing they're not injured, of course. They guarantee them certain things. You don't do that, though.
We don't really guarantee much other than we like to tell kids that you're going to have a good time at lacrosse. We sell the experience as far as academically, great academic. You're going to get a good degree from lacrosse. Football-wise, we've got a great football program, been on the rise, and you're surrounded by a successful athletic program in various other sports. And then, socially, you're going to go to college in a city. It's a college town. It's a good place. There's stuff to do recreational outside when you're not on campus or in football. So there's stuff to do. So that's kind of like what we guarantee them is a fun experience, and you can't eat.
Can I suggest one thing to them?
Yeah.
You might want to tell them, you might be able to be a guest on Seven Rivers Sports. A lot of people are asking this question. Mike Schmidt, good friend of mine, and certainly you're much closer to him than I was. But departure for Northern State surprised the heck out of a lot of people. Surprise you, Zach?
I mean, it was definitely a surprise, I guess, because of how quickly it came after the season. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people can relate with, the coaching profession. It's not always the most opportune thing with how you get to that next job. And I don't ever think it was about the next job with Coach Schmidt, but the opportunity arose, and it was one of those things that he really couldn't pass up. And, I'm really happy for him. I think it's a great opportunity for him.
What was it like? Reflect briefly, if you would. What was it like the day that he called you guys in, and then the team, and told of his decision, Noah?
I would say that, I don't know, you kind of think about all the time you spend with them and how it's like it was so fun, and changed the program around, and you're kind of thankful for the memories and the time that you had with them. And frankly, all I kind of think of it right now is I want him to go out there and kick butt and hope he does really well and wish him and the family all the best.
Emotional?
I would say probably, yeah, in some ways. I was happy for him, you know, to go out there at the higher level, kind of move up the totem pole a little bit, get a little bit more help out financially. Definitely a smart move, I think, and, you know, he'll be successful out there. I have no doubt in that.
Last question about UWL football in terms of coaching. What do you look for? What do the coaches look for? What are you hoping occurs with the new coaching staff? Zach?
I'd say a continuation of the culture we've established at UWL. I think our players really do get a full college experience here at University of Wisconsin La Crosse. But also the most important thing is to continue building towards that conference championship. You know, our goal in the last 4 years during Mike Schmidt's tenure was to win a conference championship and compete for a national championship, and we felt every year we've been very close and only gotten closer. The goal is to continue to work and strive to reach that goal.
And you're getting there. And we broadcast every game the last 4 years, and you know, so I'm right in the press box, and you are that close, and hopefully whoever replaces Coach Schmidt, interim, and then whatever the process is, the culture continues. Well, before we take a break, Noah Risch, you were all conference for 3 years, sophomore, junior, senior. You started in all 10 games in 2017, ranked high in tackles and both assisted and unassisted, at least 10 tackles in 3 games. You started in all 10 games in 2016 and then in 8 games in 2015. And certainly you left what a tremendous legacy. Real quickly, reflect on your career at UWL.
I loved it. Had a lot of fun. Got there, you know, program. Wasn't very successful. Went 3-7 a couple of years. And what I tell people about that is, you know, you think, oh man, must have really stunk to get, you know, lose 7 games a year, and it did. And not something that was super fun. I wasn't excited about losing those games, but when you're with all of your good friends, playing football together, building those relationships that you're going to have for a long time. That makes it all worth it. And then being a part of the team, you know, I was on the search and screen committee when Coach Schmidt came in, and helping find him and having him turn it around and kind of leave it in a better place than we found it. Had a lot of friends.
And I trust that'll continue. Again, before we go to break, the statistics for Zack Zillmer: 104 tackles, 24 sacks in a career that included being all-conference 2 years, tri-captain. He started all night. You had an injury. We'll talk about that when we come back. But you had a stellar career, too. So when I said at the beginning of this show this week about 2 standouts that left a legacy, you certainly are one of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily feel like that looking back on it because it's so recent and fresh, but I mean, really it came down to the defensive guys I got to play with and the coaches that I had. You know, I got put in a lot of positions to be able to make plays, and our defense was built on 11 guys doing their part, and because of my trust in the guys next to me and all the work we put in together, you know, it was just came down to me being where I needed to be, when I needed to be there.
Well,
a lot of the time.
We were there for each one of your games, and applaud you for your efforts and your accomplishments, both of you. Well, we're going to step aside for 1 minute. When we come back, more here on 7 River Sports.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
back to Seven Rivers Sports. A great show this week. A special show as our guests, two UWL greats, Zack Zillmer and Noah Risch. Well, we had a great first half of the show, but now I want to sort of go in a different direction a little bit. Starting with Noah, and a lot of our viewers maybe don't know this, but what a tremendous experience you had in Stockholm, playing for the Stockholm Mean Machine. Does that mean anything? You got to be mean in order to be on that team?
No, frankly, I like to think I'm pretty nice.
In Sweden, the premier American football league, won the title in 2019. But I know you've talked to Zack about this, and Zack, we're going to talk to him about what he's ready to embark on. But share your experiences over there.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast.
No, I mean football now, not social life.
No, yeah, I mean, football, had a blast. Didn't really know what to expect going over there. So my good friend Walter Vasanoia and Oliver Vasanoia that played on us on the team, their dad was a defensive coordinator over there.
On your team?
Yep, and so that's kind of how it all materialized into me getting over there. So I was out at Utah I was in Utah, I had a job and everything, quit my job, ran over there. Well, not ran, took a nice little flight, but went over there, and you know, there's some great guys on the team. It's the same football game, just played a little bit differently. It's not quite as popular just because soccer's so prevalent in Europe, but you know, we had a blast, and I made a lot of lifelong friendships, and I'm excited to go back and see some other guys.
So so when you were in Utah working, you got that opportunity. Your first thought was like, I'm not really done with football yet. I don't like this working world stuff that other people do. I want to test the market and go and play some more. Isn't that what you thought?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, sure, I'll quit my job and go play football in Europe. And so I got to travel around and you know, play football again, and I had made a lot of friends doing it. So
breaking news for many of you is breaking news.
Whoa.
And it's the fact that Zack Zillmer from a little place called Black River Falls is going to play in Germany.
Yes.
And Elberhausen.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I know how to pronounce it yet. And I
do, because I looked it up. Elberhausen.
Is it Elberhausen?
Elberhausen, the Crusaders in Germany.
Yeah.
And, of course, you depart after the show's played the following week. Thanks for sticking around for the show. And I've been in Europe many times coaching, refereeing, and so on, and I remember my first experience was like, whoa, what am I getting myself into? And no, maybe you felt that way, too. It's like taking a leap of faith, kind of. So enlighten our viewers as to how that materialized, Zack.
Well, it happened really fast. So, you know, after the season got over, you know, your last football season in college is kind of a lot to think about, and I don't know, I guess I kind of thought about it, talked to my good buddy Noah right here about it, and he just told me what the experience was like for him. So, you know, I thought it was pretty cool, so I talked to Walter and Oliver just like he did, and talked to Coach Schmidt just because he's gone over there as well with football and coaching clinics and stuff. So kind of talking to all these people, I decided, you know what, this is something I want to do while I can still do it. So I put my name out there and kind of got it out to as many teams as I could, and ended up finding a home.
Did you find did an agent help you?
No, I just kind of put my name out on this database called Europlayers, and then used their, like, Risch helped me set up my profile, so it was done.
Well, how do they screen players, though? Because profiles and authenticity sometimes two different things.
I think most of it is game film. So you have your game film on there, and they watch that, and then I think that's the primary way, because it's not like we go over there for a tryout or anything like that.
And parents, what were their thoughts?
I mean, I talked to them because, you know, I have to put my final semester for graduation on hold because of the time of when I'll be gone, and I told them why I wanted to do it, and they were really supportive of me. So once I had their support, then I was fully committed to going after and trying to make it happen.
Well, I would have been supportive too, because it would have just been a chance for our European vacation.
I know. I know, that was my selling point.
Is that what they're probably going to do?
I hope so.
And did your parents come over?
For like a month.
A month, and you were like, "Get back to the United States."
Oh, they did a lot of stuff. They did their research before they came over there. They went to like all over the place. So I was really only with them for a couple weeks, but they really enjoyed it.
So, what do you expect then in terms of what's the pay scale?
I don't know. It's in euros.
It's like the pay scale is just depends on how you play or what.
I got to do my research because I don't even know what it is.
So how they do it, like for example, I think it's very case by case, but I don't very like my salary is very little, but they pay for my housing, they pay for my transportation, they pay for my food. They have a deal at a restaurant they get to eat to, and they take care of a lot of other expenses that you might have throughout the course of the season.
Well, that's a pretty good salary in itself, right there.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to play. All right, what are you expecting in terms of games and style of play and venues, stadiums, all these kinds of things?
I think it's a good question for Coach Risch because I haven't been there yet. I don't really know what to expect.
I played a game over there on some really hard turf where it was tough. I also played a game at some really nice stadiums. So it just sort of depends. I would just say in general, in Europe, there are less resources for American football because it's less popular, and there's less fans. You know, I was in Stockholm, which is a city of 1 million, and people would hear my accent and think like, oh, like what are you doing over here? And I would tell them I played American football, and they're like, oh, I didn't really know we had that here. So it's just kind of interesting how the sports hasn't caught on quite as well over there. But
were you accepted as an American? Real well?
Yeah. I mean, depending upon the scenario, a lot of people are really welcoming to Americans. I would say almost entirely the Swedes loved it, and they were very friendly. They loved to practice their English with you. They're very. I think it's the highest speaking English country in Europe, so that was not an issue at all for me.
You might find somewhat of a different sort of culture in Germany, though. Mm-hmm. I've been to Germany a few times, and I'm not sure it would be maybe to the degree that you're explaining what in Stockholm.
I'm sure it'll be quite a bit different, yeah.
And it's be interesting to see how they accept you. If they call you Tarzan or Fabio, are you okay with that? As long as they don't call you some other things.
Right.
Because I'm just curious as how Germany would accept Americans, and of course you don't know that yet. But NFL scouts, how closely do they monitor players in Europe?
Not very closely. They're after guys like our buddy Speaker, who's up at ETS right now training. So hopefully he gets a shot at it.
Yeah, our friend Speaker, who's a friend of mine too, is not able to. He's too busy doing other things to be on Seven Rivers Sports.
Way cooler stuff than we're doing right now.
But oh really? Oh, I get it.
No.
So, but Noah Risch, you have what's the future hold for you now? You're going to coach again next year. Linebackers. You're going to coach again in the spring and in the fall.
TBD. We'll figure it out. Who knows? For all I know, I'll probably go back over to Sweden and fall in love, and I'll never come back there.
Speaking of late-breaking news, I don't know if your coaches at UWL know that yet, but in other words, this may be your swan song.
Who knows?
And you might follow this guy over to Germany, or...
Yeah, I'll just keep bouncing around. I don't know. Coach Janis is going to probably be tuning into this, and so he's going to make a joke about calling us Hans and Franz.
Yeah.
Out
so, in other words, you're flying by the seat of your pants is what you're saying.
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
So, what advice would you give? A lot of young people watch the show, including my grandkids, because I make them watch it. And it's like, how do I become a Noah Risch someday? Not socially. They can take care of themselves that way. But we're talking about become an accomplished player at home and then a star at UWL and then in Europe and so on. How does somebody get to that level?
I would say that you're going to want to work hard, do what your mom and dad say, and latch on to some good role models. I know I talked a lot about, I gave a lot of credit to my wrestling background with Coach Luloff at Holman. And
you sure did.
Making sure that I, was training at a young age and knowing what it takes to be successful at the next level. So just working hard.
Here's an interesting philosophy of life. I've never seen this before. Here's what Noah Risch says. His philosophy of life, you ready? You might want to write this down. Do everything like it's Game 7 of the World Series. Where the heck did you get that from?
So my good friend Nick Miller, one time we were at the rec playing some just pickup basketball, and I tend to be a little bit over-competitive when I'm in a social setting like that.
Really? I wouldn't have thought that.
And he was, you know, I was kind of sweaty, and he was making fun of me, like saying that I was going a little bit too hard, and he goes, Cliff, you just do everything like it's Game 7 of the World Series. And he didn't mean it in a nice way, but I took it as a compliment because I hold that near and dear. So,
I know you a little bit, and the times you and I have connected, I'm certainly impressed. I'm impressed because you had serious injuries, you bounced back, but your philosophy of life for somebody young like you is impressive.
I mean, you know, I think a lot of my philosophy of how I live my life has come from those like injuries, because you know, hurting my knees a couple times and having football taken away, which for so much time was so important to me, as like, you know, really, I don't know, change my outlook on how you go about the way you do things, because things can be taken away from you at any moment.
Now this big guy, a Herculean sort of build. I used to have that build, by the way, but when you get older, you lose some of that. Herculean build, Tarzan Fabio says this. You might want to write this one down too. Try and be good to others and add joy and value to people you meet. Do you actually do that?
Well, that's something, a question for others. Maybe ask Coach Risch, you know?
Because not too many people at your level, with your experience and being an athlete, would ever say that. I say that in a real complimentary way.
I appreciate it. I mean, I think where that really set in for me is like being a part of UW lacrosse football. All the guys that I've met and all the coaches and players and then the people outside of football, you know, that I've met along the way. It's like we're only here for what, 4 or 5 years, and then we go off and do all these cool things with our degrees and stuff like that. Like while we're here, we might as well add to each other's lives and make it something worth remembering.
You've added to the show. Now, last thing, when you get back from in October after you win the European Championship in Germany, providing you don't find a German girl and get married and elope and go somewhere else, and after Noah comes back from another trip to Stockholm and finding, you know, with the same result, if that's not the case, we'll have you back on the show again. Talk about your experience, talk about UWL football after the 2020 season, talk about as you come back from Germany. Hopefully you come back.
Well, that's the plan. I hope I make it back.
So anyway, this has been a special show, kind of as we end basketball, but getting ready for football in the spring season. So again, our guests this week, Noah Risch and Zack Zillmer. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we'll be back with a game recently here on KQEG right after this.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, the high school postseason is underway. We begin our coverage as the Blue Goals would entertain the Osseo Fairchild Thunder in a regional quarterfinal game. Aquinas took a 34-26 lead into halftime. Osseo Fairchild rallied back playing inspired basketball into the second half, outscoring Aquinas by 2 points. 3 Blue Goals in double figures. Quinn Miskowski with 21, Gavin Wetzel with 17, Chris Wilson with 10. The Thunder were led by Ryan Myers with 25 and Trevor Hammer with 12. Osseo Fairchild ends their season 8-15, while Brad Reinhardt's Blue Goals move on to the regional semis on Friday at Eau Claire Regis. We'll be there to bring you that game. Final, Brad Reinhardt's Blue Goals 75 and Osseo Fairchild 69. Well, that does it this week here on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.